Hi guys, welcome back to the Yes You Pod.
The podcast where we put you back in community. My name's Emily.
And I'm Evie, and today we are on our 11th episode of the podcast.
So exciting. Oh my gosh, we've made it. So good.
I'm so happy. After last week's 10th episode, I was like, dang, we still going. We're really out here.
I
We're just doing the thing.
know.
So it's been
Undefeated.
super good. I love this so much. And today's episode is a special one. It's a little bit different. It's not a specific topic, but we asked you guys what questions you had for us. And so today is our Q&A episode. And this is so fun. I love seeing everyone's responses.
I
And
feel like a
just
YouTuber.
literally little Q&A for the girls, for the
I'll
guys.
catch up. I
for the guys.
know.
And
But
it's
it
just
is
another
good.
opportunity for you guys just to learn more about who we are, and just our opinions, our likes, dislikes, and just some advice that people were asking for. But I'm super excited.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I want to start us off with our first question, which is the most important one. Someone asked, "How are you guys doing really?" And I just have to say, I'm doing great, which is weird. I'm not usually doing great, but I'm doing really great. Mentally, I'm struggling with how great I'm doing because I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, but I'm doing good. Thanks for asking.
It's so good.
But how you doing, Evie? How you doing, really?
First of all, I'm so happy to hear that Emily's, and so happy to see that she's doing so good. We were just having a podcast before the podcast, as always.
Literally.
And
Quite literally.
we were just talking about, dang, God is so good. I'm just so happy that
I know.
she's doing so great. I'm also doing good in the midst of changes and decision making and just life, and being in your 20s is always a challenge, but I think I'm doing better. It could be
So
worse.
good.
So I'm doing better,
Yeah.
and I think I'm going to continue to do better. So I'm just excited. I think this is like my sale on my piece, just getting on here and having these talks. But I love that
for real.
question of how are you doing really, because we can say we're doing good, but how are you really doing?
How really?
Let's be honest.
And
Shed a few tears today, but it's fine. A daily
Yeah,
cry for the girls.
girl dinner.
Girl dinner. If you don't know, look it up. Look it up.
Yeah. Get on the train. What are you doing? Girl dinner. For real. That's so funny.
I literally went to McDonald's today and had a sundae with chocolate chip cookie and cried. Came home and cried again.
Yummy.
Girl dinner. Delish.
Girl dinner.
Girl dinner.
That's literally girl
No.
dinner. Oh, yeah.
But, right. It's so
Then-
exciting. Just to jump into our next question, because if not, we're gonna keep talking about girl dinner. The next question came from a very special love of ours. They said, "Hey, I love you both so much. What advice would you give your older and younger selves?" Emily, what advice would you give future Emily and baby Emily if you haven't done the AI baby?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we both did that. Literally, I was so in shock. I haven't shown my mom it because my stomach drops every time I look at them.
My mom started crying.
Oh,
She was like, "You have a baby."
It's
It's literally my
scary.
face as a kid. So what would you tell that kid? What would you tell baby Emily? What would you tell
Well,
her?
first I want to say I love you too, whoever wrote this, and also, younger baby little girl Emily. I would just say it does work out, and little baby girl Emily, she was smart and she knew it, but she also didn't know how to slow down. And just know that there's something after the fact. And I think she was very wrapped up in like, this is it. Like, there's nothing more for me. And so my advice to you, little baby girl Emily, is that just slow down. Like, there's gonna be a tomorrow and the day after that. Like, this is not the worst situation you're gonna be in, but it's also not the best situation you're gonna be in. Like, there's better. There's always gonna be better. And then older Emily, and I've literally said this before, like, I think my worst fear is growing up and feeling cringy of myself. Like, I know we're all like, oh, like my emo days, or like, oh, I hate that I cut my bangs. Like, no, I want to like grow up and appreciate every step that I've been in. Like, I never want to look back and be like, oh, like she was so annoying. Like, no, that's still me. Like, that's still part of me. I don't ever want to feel like annoyed or upset about who I was, because I appreciate those seasons, because in that season I felt good. And I don't care if like the trend wasn't, you know, the trends develop, or clothing or hairstyles or makeup, whatever. Like, in that season I felt good and I felt happy, and I need to appreciate that, because those happy moments got me here. So I guess advice for older Emily is like, never forget that those seasons are not annoying or cringy. They are you. And so always love that about yourself. But what about you? What advice will you give younger or older Evie?
I think for younger Evie would just be like, girl, you're gonna be so surprised. Like, you're gonna be so shocked. Like, you're doing a thing. I think I was very insecure, like, more than now. Everybody still has their insecurities, but I think before I was just very hard on myself about a lot of things, whether it be like looks or comparison. But it's like, wow, like, you did it, like, you made it, like, you're doing the things they never thought like you could try. You did it, and you're doing a great job. So don't be too hard on yourself, and love that process, and love who you are, like you mentioned, like loving the stages that you're going through. And to embrace it, because you're weird and it's cool. Like, people are gonna like that later. You're funny.
Exactly.
Like, your trauma made you funny, mama.
Exactly.
So don't regret it. For older, advice for older me, that's hard. I think it would be like, again, like you said, because I don't know. Like, I think it would be like, you know, don't be so cringe, or don't feel like you wasted time. I think also another thing that I struggle with, or that I struggle with right now, is looking at other people, or we talk about it in the comparison episode a lot, but just like looking at timelines and be like, oh, but I'm really still in my 20s. Like, I'm 22. I have a whole life. And so it's like, don't get too caught up in like the timelines, and don't despise, like, live out the moment. So yeah, that advice from my older self would just be like, your season or whatever stage you're in is valid for what your age or what you're going through. Yeah. Like, don't find it too weird. Like, because people are doing stuff at a different pace doesn't mean that you can't still do those things, or whatever the case may be. I mean, that's just advice that I would pretty much give both my younger and older self. I can't wait to meet them.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, literally now, like, even like 2 years ago, I don't think I thought that I'd be this person with these likes or these ideas. So, like, 2 years from now, like, how much of a different person will I be? Right. That's so interesting to think of. Like, time is literally, like, everything. Oh my goodness. Like, like, the sky's the limit, for real. And even farther than that. But I love that. But our next question, somebody asked, what do you do to fight the battle of isolation, whether it's self-driven or rest given by God? Ooh, what do you think, Evie? It's a big question.
It is a good question, because last year, I remember I felt so strongly. We've talked about this. I felt so strongly, like a strong stomach-wrenching feeling. And I knew it was God, because I never feel discernment that strong. Well, I do feel discernment, but it was like heavy. And it was like, you need to separate, mamas. And I was like, but how? Like, but how? From who? Why? When? Like, how does that look like for me? And I just knew it. Like, I knew it was from God. It was being confirmed a lot. And I remember talking to Emily's mom about this because I was like, Mama's, I don't know how to deal with this. I needed some guidance. And she was like, I'm so happy for you. And I was like, I'm scared. But it's hard. Like, it's hard when you are a people person to isolate yourself. Even if the feeling is from God. Like, it's hard to put away the world. A little piece of advice, because I still feel like I struggle sometimes taking that really into effect. Just fighting the battle of isolation is just to really get in the mindset of like relying only on God and just realizing like that you're not always going to have people around. And I think for myself, I love people, but I depend on people too much. And people are not perfect and they fail you. People, of course, we're not perfect either. We're going to fail others. Exactly. But it just really had to be like, I had to discipline myself and be like, okay, if I'm depending on people, what else do I depend on? Making a list, like limiting my time, whether that be time on social media, time talking on the phone, like picking up, and you pick up on your habits and you learn so much about yourself and about what God is calling you to do because you're taking that time and separating it from Him. And then when it's rest like for real. Like it's a peace. And just because it's rest doesn't mean you're not working. Like you're working on yourself, but it's like also releasing. Like, okay, God, like I'm taking this time for you. Like I have to like kind of take this mentality of like, I need a person. I need to talk to someone. Like I have to depend on you full force. Because I always think about Joseph. I remember someone told me when I was a lot, like just starting off my face, like read the story of Joseph. And I was like, but why? Like, like why did you want me to read that? And it's he had no other choice. Like he was betrayed by his family and put in a pit and was forced to deal with isolation and came out different. So your isolation season always should transform you. And the way it transforms you is always going to be different based on the person. So circling back to the question, like, what do you do to fight the battle of isolation? It has to be, you have to fight it full force with everything that you have. But just remember that, like, God has you in the process. And just really be very intentional about it. Like, don't leave it for back burner. And just take it very serious would be my advice. But what do you do to fight that battle of isolation? Whether it's on your own or that you're like putting those limits or boundaries or like God is calling you to do that.
I think my biggest battle with isolation itself is that like explaining to people why. Mm-hmm. Like, again, like we were just talking about this earlier, our podcast before the podcast, but I can handle a lot. I think it's that explaining that to people is what gets me. Like, I want people to understand it the same way I do. And I think my biggest battle with isolation is that, like, trying to, how do I explain to people that I love them so much and I want to hang out with them, but not right now because of God. Like, me personally, if somebody told me, like, honestly, just me thinking, like, someone who, like, just if I wasn't Christian in another universe, like I would be like, you're literally crazy. Like, you're literally psycho. Like, why would you just say like, oh, God told me and now I'm not going to talk to you? Like, no, like, and so I think self-driven isolation can be very intoxicating. Mm-hmm. Like, it's almost like, oh, like, let me just forget about my problems and be very like mysterious and seep back into my, deep dark cave. But isolation driven by God, I think it's 100 times like it is hard. It's hard. Yeah. Because that like you want people to understand what you're going through and you want people to accept what you're going through, but you can't appease everybody. Right. And the people, that's why, when you talk about marrying Christians or having friends that are Christians, it's not just, to build you up, but in your moments of chaos and isolation, you need people that will understand that it's not you being a bad friend, it's you being a good Christian.
Yeah.
And it's something that you just need to, get through. Everyone needs to have those moments. But yeah, I think my biggest advice would be, how do you fight it? Get good friends.
Yeah.
Get great friends that will know what it's like to be called by God. Get friends that know what anointing is. Get God what know who the Holy Spirit is and what prayer is. Because if it's not just like it's not just having good influences in your life, it's having support system, having people that will still be back when you come out of your 40 days and 40 nights. Like, people who will still have your back through, having those moments of you need to have time with God and your time of fasting and prayer and Bible reading. But yeah, that would be my biggest advice for fighting that battle.
And that is so good. Shout out to the friend group if they're listening, but one of my friend group here, they've each gone, and we've each gone through our season of isolation where like someone has moved away and gone through like their period of like, living a different, life or, being on their own. And the other person, is in their God ordained isolation and they're taking a step up, but then they're back and they're like, guys, I'm back. And I'm like, how was it? Like, what did God teach you? Like, and it's crazy because I'm like, dang, like, I just entered the friend group. I'm like, no, I'm not just entered, but like, I'm new to like and to this deeper level of everyone's life.
Right.
I'm like, wow, like, it is so great to have those friends, like you mentioned, that will continue to support you. And it's, again, communication, like, hey, guys, I'm in a season of isolation right now and I can't explain it, but God, and like, okay, God bless, like, you're being obedient.
Yes.
Exactly. That's so relieving. Like, you don't have to explain it, but
God.
when you do, I understand, like, it might be hard for someone that isn't on the same level spiritually. They might be offended, but at the end of the day, like, if they're your friend, we always say, they're going to come back and they're going to be okay with that.
Exactly. So good.
But that's such a good advice. You're so good. But one of our other questions, I know they're so good. The next one was, what is a quality that each of you wish you could borrow from each other? Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I want to go first. I want to embarrass you. Okay.
No, here she goes.
Okay, let's go. Okay. Physically, your height. I've always told you this. I wish I was as tall as you. First of all.
Guys, I'm like 5'9", by the way.
I want that. It's not fair.
I'll give it to you.
I want to borrow it for a day. Please.
You can
and you always say that though. And it's like funny because every time, and it's not just to say like, I love tall people, but like, I want to be a tall person so bad, bro. God knew if I was like taller than freaking 5'6", I'd be unstoppable. God knew. That's why he humbled me for real.
Oh my God.
But I'm going to get that leg lengthening surgery.
No, you're not.
I'm not going to do it. You know that guy that was on the news?
Do you think it works?
Yeah, I mean, but it's not going to give you much. Like, there's a guy that he did it, and he used to be 5'4", and then he got to 5'7", and then somebody said,
that's a big jump.
But then somebody said he spent thousands of dollars to still be short, and I'm like,
yeah, I was 5'7", like 7th grade, 8th grade.
Yeah, but 5'4" is genuinely like.
It's average, though.
I think 5'4" when it starts to be like most girls are like 5'4", 5'5".
Exactly.
So it's like if you're not out. That's why like 5'7" is fine. 5'7" because you're still taller. But I want to be 5'7". I want to be 5'9", bro. I want to be Zendaya. I want to be tall. I want to have my little short boyfriend. My little short Tom Holland.
No, not what did they call it? A short king.
Short king. I want my short king for real. Oh my God. I want that.
Thank you.
That's why. You know what? This is why God can give me a boyfriend. Because want to change myself.
Now you being like, I want to be tall, and then I want a short boyfriend. Like, mama, I'm just trying to find a boyfriend.
No,
period.
Listen, I want a tall one, but then I also want to be tall so I can have a short one. It's just I believe in different. I know. It's different. I know. One day I'll get taller. But okay, yeah. So definitely your height, but also I think you as a person, you are never satisfied with life. And I love that. I think you always look for more. You always want to learn more. You always want to see more. You always want to do more. And that's something that I get discouraged a lot with because I feel guilty if I get tired and you're still like going. And I wish I had that quality from you. I wish I had like your strength and your stamina to like honestly with people too. I'm the minute I get annoyed with someone, I'm like, no, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. But like
no.
You still like everybody, and it's like because you just have this like unending love for people, and it shows. And I wish I could borrow that. At times, it's like I wish I could have this much love for people because I'm around so many people, and sometimes it gets exhausting, but you still have that strength and that energy, and it rubs off. And also, you are not afraid to be in your emotions. Like, I be getting very conscious, like, self-conscious of it. And I wish that I could be as vulnerable as you at times. Because you be getting pretty vulnerable. And I know I get vulnerable too, but it's almost like a calculated vulnerable sometimes. And sometimes I wish I could just, like, let loose. But, yeah. And then there's, like, a trillion more, but I'm going to stop interrupting you.
No, please don't. I'm like, what? Anything else? No, just kidding.
Your eyes, your hair.
No. I'm literally in the back of my head. I'm like, she's lying.
No, I'm not. Oh, my gosh. You know when I lie.
No, I know you're not lying.
If I was lying. Yeah.
I know you're not lying because you tell me that all the time. Like, she'll tell me this without me asking. She's like, oh my God, I wish. I'm like, don't wish. Because in my head, I'm like, I wish I couldn't. Like, I wish I could stop. But this thing, it's like a double-edged sword when it comes to the love I have for people. And this, I think sometimes we, they say like your strengths, like we count our strengths for weakness and blah, blah, blah. So some people say your strength. Like, I see my weaknesses, and you'll see it as my strength. Like, I honestly, like, when you say...
That's to say, yeah, with everybody.
Literally, when you say, like, oh, like, you have so much love for people, I'm like, dang, but sometimes I need to put a boundary. Or, I wish, like, oh, I can keep going. I'm like, dang, but I'm so tired. So, it's empowering to hear it, though, because I'm like, there's some good qualities to the madness of the life I live. But no, I love you so much. And if I can give you my height, I would give it to you right now. Because I'm a girl. Then you can get all the stuff from Top Shelf. I'm tired of giving that.
I know. Oh my gosh.
You're like, you see,
literally at work. Oh my God, at work today.
On the step stool.
Yes, I was literally, because we have like a bunch of like Top Shelf items, and I kept having to like ask my coworker, hey, can you grab me this? Hey, can you grab me? I thought it was so annoying, and I hate it. Sometimes it's like, oh, like, and make other people do it, but like, honestly, you know how like freaking killer it is to be able to look over top aisles in the store? Are you kidding me? Y'all don't know how good you have it.
I'm not that tall, but
I know, but like, to
there
y'all,
is an advantage to grabbing the stuff all the way in the back. Like, there is a little bit of the weather is better up there. Like, it just.
I know.
All the jokes, mama. Like, I've heard them all.
Oh my.
But. When it comes to me and the qualities that I wish I could borrow from Miss Emily Martinez, the limit does not exist. No, I think if we're going to do... I think, honestly, when I first met you, it was the way that you presented yourself. Like, you're very mature. I always say you're very mature for your age, but you're very, like, you can take charge. Like, you can grab at the attention of a room like this because your presence, like the way that you freaking snap, you have authority, and we were just talking about it. But you use it at a level that is very amazing, like, to witness. That's why I think when I met you, I wasn't intimidated by you. I was like, dang, like, this girl knows what she's doing. Like, because I think none of us knew what we were doing at the time. Like, we were, we just met, we're on a worship team and this and that. But you came with such a force. And I was like, she got this. Like, she knows what she's about. Like, she has authority. And I love that. I love that you're able to, like, navigate whatever situation. Like, even if there's no way, you're like, oh no, but you can do this. Like, and I don't know if you see that. I see that as your friend and as your sister and just working with you and all that stuff. Like, it has been it's been easy and it's been a blessing to do projects with you because you know what you want and you know how you want it to go. And I think the way that you navigate stuff is so cool. So honestly, Mama, your authority snaps for me. And so that's a quality that I love. I love quality that you're bold, Mama. You're bold. And that goes with the authority thing. Like, you don't care. Like, Emily has stuck up for me in ways that I no puedo. Pero, like, and in many different areas. But, like, just even when it comes to reminding, and we just had a podcast before the podcast where you literally made me sob because you constantly remind me who I am, those little things. And it's just like, you're bold in that. Like, no, like, you don't remember. God told you this. Or, like, you're freaking in DR right now doing a spoken word. Like, do you understand? I'm like, like, and so just your boldness and, like, you have that, like, compelling factor. And that also it's also very, whatchamacallit, like you just said to me, it rubs off. Like, it makes me want to be a better friend. So I love those qualities about you. I don't know. I said, what is a quality? I was like, her whole life. Like, that's it. What is a quality? Many qualities. And then other than that, to do a little, your freaking voice. Hello. I want to hit those notes you hit. If I could just, thank you very much for the training.
Okay, Miss literally worship leader. Okay. What?
Like, she ain't the same thing. I hate us. No. I hate us so badly. But all that and more, and I love you so much. But just to continue that, I think it's such a good follow-up. What is one thing you wish people knew about you? Maybe people who don't know you that are listening, or people that you have yet to meet, or that are you going to meet in the future? What is something that you wish they knew about you?
Okay. Honestly, I didn't think about this one. I could have skipped over this in the list. I wish that... Let me think. Actually, you go first. Let me think.
Okay. So for me, one thing I wish people knew about me, I don't have like a silly answer. I just was going to say, like, if I've ever, because I don't know how else to say it. If I've ever done something that was out of character, that my heart is always in the right place and that I don't mean to be. And this is just very raw, very authentic, because I feel like I overthink a lot. I spiral, some might say. Mm-hmm. But if I ever do something out of character or out of line, or it just doesn't feel right, I think one of my main thing would be like, I wish people knew how much I cared. Or just that. And I think I show that in my friendships and relationships, but just that I never, if I ever wrong somebody or in any type of way, I don't think I have any current, like, feelings of anything like that right now in my life, but it just would be like, I wish people knew how much I loved them or how big my heart was. And I feel like at times we're like, we say I love you, and I could say it's so loosely to say I love you, but when I love someone, I love them with all my heart. And I want people to just see that and just know that if I say I love you. Like, I love my friends, like, my soulmates, like, and it's crazy. And I think people know that, but I think it's just another emphasis for me. I don't think I have anything that's like, and I struggle. Another thing, like, I don't know, I'm not perfect. I don't know. Monday motivations are hard for me. Another thing.
Of course.
It's hard to be motivating. I think that's another thing too. I think people have a persona because of social media. Because of, like, these little videos and stuff that we always do. But I think that would be another thing. Like, I struggle Like, I struggle.
Of course, yeah.
But we're all good. So that would be for me. Some things I wish people knew. Just my heart and that we're out here trying. But do you have anything to add? Like, for you, like, do you...
I think, like, what you were saying, it just came to my mind, but, like, it is one of the deepest things. Like, also to be very raw and authentic. If I recently and, like, very recently, like, within the past few months, I've been very, like, huggy and very touchy with people. I think my love language has shifted to physical touch, but I also hope people know that, like, if I hug you, it means a lot.
Yeah.
Because it is hard for me sometimes. Because I can hug you, but if you, like, tap me the wrong way or, like, I don't know, just any kind of other physical touch, like, it can be triggering for me. So I hope people know that if I hug you, like, you mean the absolute world to me.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely. And also, like, what you were saying, like, I love so deeply and, like, hard. Like, I'm such a ride or die for so many people. Like, I'm down. Oh my gosh, you need to commit a crime? I'm literally there. Pull up. Oh my gosh.
Right. What's the event?
I have 3 places in Orlando to bury a body. I didn't say that, but
No,
if you heard that, no, you didn't. Like, but it's also like if you need like me to be up at 4 a.m. praying for you, like I'll do that. Like anything. Like I'm such a down person. Like if you need me to do this for you, like whatever. Because it is hard for me sometimes to love.
Right.
But when I love, it's like take my whole heart, like take my whole organs. Like if you need to live, like for real. And so I wish, sometimes I wish people knew that. But it's also like that, like, I wish people knew that, but I hope, I'm also very careful because I don't want people to take advantage of that. Because for real, like, take my money, take everything. Because, like, don't ever think that you are a bother to me. Like, if we're friends, like 100,000%. So that's definitely one quality, or one thing I wish people knew about me. But, Evie, the next question is... what advice would you give to people who need help keeping strong relationships?
That is a great question. I feel like the people in my life right now are people that I've had in my life for a long time. So I'm grateful that that has remained strong. And I think the main piece of advice would it just be to have open communication. We've talked about it a lot. I feel like I'm a broken record when it comes to that. But I think it's just such a good quality, like it's a no-brainer. Like it's if you had a relationship with like a significant other, like you need to talk to grow, like, and just having little check-ins, life updates. So we on our group chat, we're like, what's the life update? Send a life update. What's the voice note of the week? Like what happened this week? And just keeping each other in the loop. I think sometimes a lot of relationships fall because there's no communication. And yes, people can be busy and have their own lives, which is totally fine. But it's unfortunate when that lack of communication is non-existent, especially with people that you have gone through a lot with.
So true.
It can't be one-sided. And I think just always make sure that your friendships are equally yoked and you guys are pouring into each other, whether it's a group, whether it's just one friend. My just advice would be open communication, and if there is something that bothers you, talk about it, confront it, and like call each other out. And it's something that I hated at first. I'm like, how dare they? And I'm like, oh, thank you. But it's such a good way to keep a strong relationship. Do you have any advice as well for those trying to keep strong relationships?
I think communication is key. So I also second that. But also I think healthy time away. I think one thing I've fallen victim of, but also perpetrator at times, is that I feel that in order to be like besties with someone and like be the best relationship with somebody is to spend every second with them. And I think that's also why my love language has kind of shifted from like quality time to physical touch. Just because, like, I understand now that having healthy time away is good.
Yes.
Because you need that break.
Right.
And you cannot grow separately from a person if you're always with them and you're always talking to them. And it's good. Like, be with your friends. Hang on. No one's saying no. But also, just if you want to keep having a relationship that lasts for years, take some time away from people. Because get the number one truth that is hard to say out loud is that people piss other people off. I get annoyed with my friends sometimes. I get upset with people sometimes. Like, that's normal. But understand that in order to have a healthy communication, you can't be talking all the time. In order to have a healthy relationship, you can't be with each other all the time. So yeah, take some time to yourself. Take some time with other people. Just to have that time away to actually miss that person. Because I'd rather miss somebody than hate them. That's just plain and simple.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, that's definitely my advice.
That's such good advice. And that is something that I'm currently, like, not current. Currently. I'm not gonna lie. Like, have been, like, evaluating in my life. Like, am I taking time away from this person because I need to, or because it's not being reciprocated? Things like that. So that was so good, and that was so perfect. That was so perfect, everything that you said. Do you have any, and just another follow-up question that we got, best, which is from a different person, so it was such in line. It was the best advice for cutting off friends. How do you deal with that situation?
Honestly, the same thing that I said before. Time will tell.
Yeah.
If, like, taking time away from someone will let you know how much you miss them, but also how much you don't miss them, how much you don't need them. Yeah. I think best advice for cutting off friends is that also knowing that seasons are real and there is a time for everything. There's a start and a finish. And a lot of times we think that having people almost in the background is okay. And it is sometimes. Sometimes you still have those connections, not as strong. And it comes in and out. But sometimes we just have to accept that people don't need to be in your life anymore. And honestly, best advice, pray about it. I always say pray first. Pray about it. God will let you know. God will have things in order where it's just evident that that person or people don't need to be in your life ever again. And it's hard. Like, it sounds cutthroat, and it's hard. Like, no one's saying that it's easy to just accept that they're not good people or good friends or whatever. But know in your heart and understand that God takes away and gives. It's two. God gives and takes away. So if you don't have people, you will have people. Mm-hmm. And so that's always it. But what is your best advice for cutting off friends, girl? That's a good question.
That was such a good question and such a hard question at the same time.
I know.
I think, again, if you're going to do it, communicate and let the person know. Right. At least. So just have respect for the person. Whether it ended off badly or not, because I've been in, I've had friendships that we've been in bad endings, but we still, like, there has to be a text, like, talking about, like, to end it off. And I don't like to block a person and never talk to them again. Like, I hate that. I've been there, done that. Like, I hate it. And it makes me want to unblock and see what they said. But then I'm like, no, like, you don't have to do that. But just give the other person respect as well. You would want someone to tell you why they aren't talking to you. If you're cutting someone off, let them know why. Maybe it's because God put you in the isolation season. Or maybe it's just because you don't see them fit in the season of your life. Whatever that is, just let someone know. I think that's the only advice. And to again pray, and take moments of reflection. Was this person pouring into me the way that I was pouring into them? And am I doing this out of spite, or am I doing this because it's what the season looks like for me?
That's good.
And I just think it's that, like, if you're gonna cut someone off, like, still pray for them even after, because you never know the battles you're gonna face. I feel like there's always still love there for the person, regardless of the situation, or if you guys are still seeing each other, and like if you're not friends with the person but you see them every day, like, wish them well, like, in the back of your mind, like, just you don't want to have malice in your heart. You don't want to be bitter about it, but if you have to take time away, whether it's just like not looking at their post or whatever that may be, do it. But just keep it all in prayer. That would be my best advice there.
I love what you're saying. Like, I think that too, you need to know yourself, because a lot of times we let our friends and the people around us define who we are. But once you start getting to know yourself more, you'll understand who your friends are. And the better it is to, like, explain to them, hey, this is what I need. And if the stop to our friendship needs to happen, then that's fine. But our stop to our love doesn't. Wow, and I think that's a very big distinction. But yeah, honestly, take it to prayer, and also understand that always have love in your heart. And something that I'm really trying to understand in this season is joy is a choice, and love is a choice as well. And it's a hard, like, excruciating everyday one that we have to make, but it is so incredibly worth it. Because anger only resides in one body, and that's yours. So
exactly,
understand that it is a choice to have that. But another question, which I absolutely love, what is the funniest or favorite story between you two, Evie?
Okay, so we were talking about it because we were like, our favorite. Yeah, we do. When it comes to favorite story, I feel like I'm not gonna take yours because that's your story, but I think it's our story. But I think, like, besides the obvious, and we've talked about it before, but just being able to receive that word together, and that's always gonna be my favorite, one of my top favorite moments of our sisterhood, because it marked something different for us. Like, it's a word that we fall back on. It's a word that we refer to, and it's what God is revealing to us now, whether that is worship, leadership, many other things, who's praying and things like that. Like, when God wants to speak, he doesn't care who's in the room. He doesn't care who is saying it. He will do it. He will stop everything to speak. And the fact that he called us out together by middle name. Right. That will always be a moment that marked me, and that would be my favorite moment with you. I think ever since that day, we already knew we're stuck in this for life. Like,
I know.
You can't get away from me now. Like,
but that was such a foundation moment too. That was like, it really built everything.
It did. It was. And so that's my favorite moment. And that's very personal. It's a very personal thing for us, but it's still so beautiful. And what would be your favorite moment or memory?
I would say, that one specifically, just because, like, again, it was such, like, we had always been close with Emma, and was like, wow, like, we're even, like, close in God. Like, God sees us, like that. And that was very special. But also, I think, starting that night that we started this podcast, and we've had many moments in the past where it's like these late night, all of a sudden things where it's like, let's have a conversation, and we talk about, like, our childhood trauma. And to actually start this was, like, it was such a moment for me, because it was like, this isn't, like, just a friendship, like, and I've always said, like, you're my sister, but it really solidified, like, our sisterhood, and, like, we're committed to this. Like, we're committed to sharing our story and helping others through our friendship and through our relationship. And I think it was such a fun night too, and it was so out of nowhere. But again, another confirmation from God that He sees us as sisters, and that for me is always gonna be like, and it's not just us; it's like in God's plan, and that for me is so. It warms my heart, and I'm so grateful for you.
I'm so grateful for you. Oh, she gonna make
this
us
podcast
cry.
is just us gushing over each other, and
literally like every other podcast.
Literally every episode is that.
No, but it was such a good moment, and to see us on our 11th episode right now, like I can't believe we're doing this still. It's amazing. But just to wrap up everything, as we always ask, the specific question was, what is your number one advice you would give someone? And as we always say, like, what advice would you give? So if you can give any piece of advice, what advice would that be?
Oh my gosh. In this season right now, the advice that I'm like trying to give people is honestly that love is a choice, prayer is a choice, joy is a choice. Understand that though it's hard, but despite your situation, you can have all those things because you can choose that. So my biggest advice is like reflect on yourself, reflect on who you are, and understand that despite your situation, you can have the things you want. You can have peace, you can have love, you can have friendships, you can have relationships, but it does start with a choice, and that choice is to be obedient, and that choice is to be understanding that what God gives us is stronger than what the world is handing us. So don't have fear. Don't be afraid of what the world gives you. Just know that you can choose the qualities of God, and you can choose God Himself. So, my number one advice. But what about you, Evie?
Mine. That was such good advice, by the way. Mine would be just don't regret having a big heart or loving at the capacity that you do. I think that's what marks us the most. I think that's what marks me the most. And then sometimes I get so mad, like you mentioned, like I wish I could love, like. So I think my advice would be like, don't apologize for that. Don't feel sorry for loving as hard as you do, because it's hard to find people that do love as deep as you do. So just don't apologize for loving and love. And like you said, love is a theme. Love is the topic of the night. Just love.
Yeah.
Just love and love and love. And that's it. Like, don't regret it and don't apologize for that.
Yeah.
I love that. And that, honestly, that's my advice. I don't have anything else to say other than just don't apologize for having a big heart. But yeah, this episode was amazing. These questions were amazing. You guys are amazing. Ugh,
I know.
I can't.
It was so comforting. And this was such, like you said, like, this is really my, like, debrief, my settle down. And it does, like, it warms my heart to see that, you know, you guys also have so many questions, and we're here to give the best that we can, and we learn and we give, we learn and we teach. And so we're so grateful for you guys. This was so fun. I feel like a YouTuber for real.
It was so good, and we're not professional, but we help you out. Like,
exactly.
Ask us some more questions for the next one.
I know, for real. Yes, comment down below. Comment anywhere. Also, follow us on our Yes You Pod socials. Evie, list them. You have 10 seconds. 10.
Yes You Pod. Apple Music. Yes You Pod. Spotify. Yes You Pod. YouTube. Anything else? No. That's it.
Everything. Yeah. Just
Instagram, TikTok. Just look us up on Google at this point. And make sure you share the episode with a friend. And comment down below what you liked. Put a little timestamp. Put a little emoji. Share with your friends and share it on your Instagram story, please. And make sure to tag us at Yes You Pod.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
We're so happy for this episode. And we're so happy for you guys to hear it. Yes. All right.
Bye.
Well,
see you guys on the next one.
Yes.
We love you guys. Bye.
Love y'all. Bye.